Yeah, it's just not, there's just not that many, the culture of Utah, and part of it is, a lot of it sort of it bases with some of the church dominance here, but like it's just people in Utah take care of their stuff. Like it's kind of the culture of Utah. Like you just don't have a lot of rundown places and neighborhoods and houses, and it's just not a common thing. Like what we know is like a rundown neighborhood or a rundown house is not a true rundown house when you go to other states and other markets. Like it's totally different. So the level of living or the standard of living in Utah just tends to be a lot higher than a lot of places. It's also why people love living here, is that people just take care of their stuff, you know. So that's a little bit, that's what makes it a little bit difficult. So, and it's competitive. There's a lot of people that are out there doing it. You know, we're short on inventory. Uh, a lot of people have a lot of equity in their house, you know, and so they're not really super motivated to take a super low offer when they can go throw it on the market and get top dollar for it too. So you've really, it's just hard finding those people in those situations. So yes and no. Depends on what their vision of what they're trying to do and their buy box and some of those things. You run into the same situation where you're working with investors. It can be hard because their like buy box is so tight and it's hard to find those deals. So you use an agent, you spend a lot of time trying to find these deals and sourcing them. And then when you go to sell them, if their numbers are tight or they ran into a few issues on the flip, then, you know, they've got to get a certain amount out of it. So it makes, not that you shouldn't work with those people. You just have to recognize, you know, what really is their vision? What are they trying to do? Is it flipping one house a year? Like, are they trying to buy multiple things? Like, let's really get down to the nut and bolt of like, what's your vision over not just like now, but 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? What are you trying to do in your business? And does this make sense for me to go spend my time, or do I need to go spend time lead generating for something else because the return on my time is going to be better somewhere else? So that's kind of how I look at it. So yeah, yeah. Um, Remind me your name. It's Ivan. There we go. If you learn anything about me, I'm terrible with names. I'll remember your guys' face till the day I die. So if I run into you in 10 years, I'll be like, I remember I've seen you somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. But I'm terrible with names, so I have to keep asking. So I apologize. Me and Ivan have met like multiple times, did an open house for me, like, but I apologize. I'm terrible. What's your name? D'Angelo. Cool, man. Thanks for being here. Um, Maybe introduce. He came, just got his license. Had his license for 2 months. Ivan, you've got it. You've had it for what? 6 months? Yeah, I was thinking 4, 5, 6 months. Okay. What about you, D'Angelo? Okay. You're working on school? Cool. You just working on hours and stuff? Okay. Cool. Um, Maybe why are you interested in real estate? Maybe we'll start there. No idea. Okay. Would you say, are you totally sold on getting into real estate at this point, or maybe not yet? Oh, got it. Got it. What has you curious or interested in real estate? Cool. You grew up here? You from Utah? San Diego? Cool. How long have you been in Utah? Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, well, I run these maybe a little bit. I don't know how everyone else runs them. I'm a little bit more of an open book. So obviously we've got qualifying buyers and sellers today. We'll jam in. Um, I'll share, I'll give you guys some resources and we'll jam through this. But I'm also pretty open on understanding before we get into things, like what's the most important thing that you guys want to get out of this, something that you may be struggling with, something you want to learn more about. I want to make sure this is like uh, you guys get the most out of this today. If we're going to spend time together, you know, I could go through a bunch of these slides and just talk about this and we'll get into this, but I also want to just make sure that if there's any other questions, topics, things that you guys want to jam through, you know, kind of like flipping, that we cover those. So maybe I'll start there before we jump into things. Is there anything specifically that you guys would find helpful for us covering today? Any topics, specific things that you guys have been curious about?
I have my first buyer free like Google appointment today,
Cool.
and then I'm also on the verge of getting a DRS sign, so.
Cool.
kinda like measure.
Okay. Okay. So just like buyer consultation and seller. Sorry. Okay. Cool. Exciting. Congrats. What else? What other questions are on your guys' mind? Okay. Like I said, I've got a pretty extensive background. My role is director of sales, so I coach, train. We've got 18 agents. We'll sell about 160 million in volume this year. We'll do about 260 units as a team. We do a little bit of everything. So it's commercial. We've got a couple custom home builders that we represent. We've got a development up in Woodland Hills, a luxury community. So we represent the whole development. So we sell lots, spec homes. Obviously, we do existing stuff. So it's a little bit of everything. And then my background with construction, wholesaling, flipping, I feel like I've dabbled in pretty much everything that you can get into in real estate. So anything else? You got anything?
Daily motivation, like grind mentality stuff.
Okay, so staying motivated. Okay. What about you, D'Angelo? You got anything? Anything specific? Okay. Okay, cool. Well, let's maybe jam through this. We'll start here. Okay. So qualifying potential buyers and sellers. What I gave you is have you guys ever heard of LTP Mama? You guys ever heard of that acronym? Ivan has? Okay. So part of our team, we've got a really unique model, part of Red Sign, and it is, we've got an inside sales department. So I have 3 people. Their role within our company is that they are on the phones from 9 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. We generate about 1,000 leads on average a month, and these leads get funneled into our inside sales department, and their role is to get connected with these leads and work them until they are ready to sit down and meet with actually one of our agents. And so we have them do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to qualifying buyers and sellers and nurturing those people until they're ready to sit down and meet with an actual agent and get going in that process. And so an acronym and a model that we follow it's really everything we do to qualify buyers and sellers is what we call LTP Mama. And so if you guys look at that, essentially goes over it's location. So the first one is L, so it's location. You've got timeline. They've got, I think they may be flipped over. So you got location, timeline, price, motivation, agency, mortgage, and then setting the appointment. And there was a buy side and a sell side. So I've given you 2. So there's one for buyers, one for sellers. And really the goal with this for us is for everybody to understand, as an agent, you're trying to find motivated people, but when you find somebody that's a hand raiser, what are the questions I'm asking? How do I really know if they're motivated? And how do I get them to ask the right questions and then get to the point where I'm actually setting an appointment to meet in person? Okay. I think one of the downsides, or one of the faults for a lot of agents when they get into the business is you want to be super helpful. And what I mean by that is people are like, hey, I'm curious about this. And so you're just answering questions, you're providing value, which isn't a bad thing. But the problem is you haven't got to a point where you really understand the roadmap and what it takes to take somebody from being a hand raiser to getting them to meet with you and then signing an agreement to seal the deal and then getting that golden ticket to then going out and working and being able to get an actual check and closing. Okay. And so LTP Mama has been one of the best ways that we've seen as a company to take somebody down a roadmap when we're going to try to qualify them to know if they are ready for an actual appointment. Okay. And so these specific things, when we run down that, are the things that we feel as a company have helped us to qualify people better than anything else. Hey, good morning. How are you? Good. What's your name?
Matt.
Matt. Good to meet you, Matt. I'm Cody. Maybe I'll ask you real quick. We're going to talk qualifying buyers and sellers today. I'm a pretty open book. Is there anything specific in real estate right now, topic, question, anything you've been struggling with that you want to cover today?
Nothing specific.
Okay. If you think of anything for any of you guys as we're moving along, just raise your hand and we'll throw it on the board, and then we'll spend some time doing kind of a Q&A at the end. and jamming through a few things. Okay. So with this is, like I said, been the most helpful thing for not only our inside sales agents, but also our agents as we try to qualify people. So we'll run through a bunch of things really quick, but I'd like to just role play. We'll do a bunch of role playing today with this and kind of going through it together. Okay, it's kind of the agenda. Your number one job as a real estate agent is to find ways to get in the path of motivated buyers and sellers. So this has been probably one of the most difficult things in this market for you guys that are getting in, considering, finishing hours, or, why is the market, what's going on with the market right now? COVID 2020, 2021, and then the first quarter of 2022, when rates are really low, affordability is at an all-time high, and home prices are going up. That's a really easy market for people to be motivated and want to get in. So motivation of buyers and sellers are really high. In this market, the last 2 years since rates started going up, finding motivated people is difficult. I don't know if we give enough credit and understand the kind of timeline and what played out. Obviously, we ran into COVID and people started working from home. And so people that needed more space made a move. They bought a house, sold theirs. They've got a really low interest rate. If somebody loved the home that they were in, they refinanced down into the high 2s, low 3s. So they've got a great rate. They love their home. And so you fast forward a couple years to where we're at now, and rates being in the 6s and the 7s. And at some point, a couple points there, we hit in the 8s. The motivation of buyers and sellers just is not super high, for that just casual, hey, we need an extra bedroom. I'd love a bigger yard. I'm really not forced into moving. So there's not a lot of motivation, hasn't been in our market. And so the motivation or motivated buyers and sellers have really been people that are facing big things going on in life. And what do I mean by that? That is, I'm getting a divorce. Somebody died. A lot of times they're the D's, the deaths, divorces, downsizing. Those are the situations we as a team, that's really been the thing that we've tried to focus on are those kind of people, because those are the life events that have happened that have caused people, even though rates are in the 6, if you're getting a divorce, it doesn't matter. Like you're going to be selling the house. You got to split assets. Like that's a great listing to go have as an agent. It's an unfortunate event to be in that, but you have 2 people that are in a situation where that's something that they need to get done. And so you're the person that's stepping in to help them navigate that process and get them to where they want to go. Okay. Same thing with, hey, grandma passed away. We've got this house. We need to sell it. Kids don't want it. How do we get that done? Okay. So it doesn't matter that the market is what it is. They just need to get rid of the house. Like the situation where Ivan helped me with that open house. It was in West Valley. I had a family that lived in one house. The mom and dad lived in another house. They were getting old and they were having to spend a lot of time at their house helping take care of them. And so they were in a situation where it just made sense for them to sell both of those houses and go find a house that was big enough and met their needs for them to all live under one roof. So they're only taking care of one yard, living together. And so there was motivation there for them to do that because of some of the struggles that they had. Her dad, the grandpa, had surgery on his back recently, and so that was some of the real motivation to, like, man, we just need to get under one roof and consolidate this family living situation so it's easier for all of us. So again, it's some of these things, like that's been the people that we're really trying to find. That's what you're trying to do while you're lead generating, is how do I find motivated people? And sometimes it's helping people just educate people to understand the market and what's available for them to take advantage of. And sometimes that's a process to where you're following up with them for 6, 12 months before they finally get to a point where, hey, we really want to get into our first house. We've saved up a bunch of money. I appreciate all the info. Your lenders helped us fix our credit. And I think we're finally ready to get into a house and stop paying rent. A lot of times those first-time home buyers don't understand. It is more expensive to buy right now than it is to rent, which that's not been the case for a long time. For years, it's always been cheaper, and it made a lot more sense to go buy a house than it was to rent. Now it's flipped, where it's absolutely cheaper to rent right now than it is to buy. But do those people understand what they're missing out on in the wealth creation by owning a house and real estate? And so you've got to educate people to, hopefully sometimes you have to help motivate them to get out of the situation that they're in. Okay. So these are some of the things that I would think about as you guys are working your business. Okay, so find the motivated. What myths do you hold about finding buyers and sellers? What do you guys think? What keeps you from finding buyers and sellers? What things are in your mind? What holds you back? What myths do you have?
About it is winter.
Okay.
We're coming to like a hard time to direct the money on buying or selling.
Okay, so that's a good one. I got an answer to that. What else?
Just timeline. I've found a lot of buyer leads, but they're all not ready. So I'm kind of just waiting to save up and do their credit and stuff.
Okay. Okay, so just timeline, trying to get them in a situation where they can actually purchase.
They're saying that. Or if I find like a good deal and they would like want to send an offer like as soon as possible, you know. I just feel like they say that so they can get me off their back until the time comes.
Got it. Got it. Are you upfront enough to ask them that question? Hey, you mentioned, Ivan, that you guys are looking for a house that's got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. You want it at this price point, and your monthly payment's got to be here. Ivan, if I was to find you that this week, is there anything that would stop you from moving forward and making an offer on that house?
Like I keep texting them and stuff, but they don't even want to get like a appointment to get through and stuff.
Got it. Got it. That's the other thing too, I think, is you qualify buyer leads. If you can't get him to meet with a lender, it doesn't mean I wouldn't chase them, but it also, that's an indication like how serious are they? It's not somebody that I would take out of my pipeline and I wouldn't follow up with and check in and update on the market. Hey, there's some great builder incentives right now. Hey, rates have taken a drop. The Fed's just reduced the rate. Where are you guys at? Ivan, I know we talked 6 months ago about you wanting to buy a house. Update me. How are you feeling, man? Where are you at with the process? Let's talk about it. So I wouldn't let go of them, but I also wouldn't be somebody that I'm like focused on every single day of every week to try to be like, man, I got to get a hold of Ivan this week again. I'm going to call him 2 or 3 times. Like, I'd know that like, man, if he's not pre-approved, he's not going to be able to buy a house. That's got to be our first step, but doesn't mean I may not, if he told me again, timeline was like, man, I'd really like to be in by spring of 2025. I'm probably calling him every month. I'm probably sending him a text, email, and calling him, trying to get a hold of him every month and seeing where he's at with things to say, hey, Ivan, you told me you want to be in spring. If we're going to do this, just so you know, like, we got to get with the lender. Sometimes we got to fix credit. We really need to understand the finance side. So we're ready to be able to make this move. So I can help you make this happen. Is that still important to you, Ivan? Is the timeline still spring? Let's talk about that. And that's another good question to qualify people is, hey, you told me you want this at this price, at this monthly payment. If I can make that happen, is there anything that would stop you from moving forward this week and putting in an offer? And that's where you can start really understanding how motivated and where people are at. Like, well, hey, man, Ivan, as good as that sounds, like, we got to, X, Y, and Z's got to happen. And so I probably, I don't know if I'd be able to submit, or, hey, I just don't know where I'm at. Well, that's why I've been pushing you to meet with my lender, because that's really the first step. So if you guys would make a move, if I found you the perfect house, let's take those steps and make sure that we're working towards that goal. So, anything else? Any other myths? The one about winter is understanding this too. There is seasons in Utah's market. Okay. Our best market for real estate is always starts to ramp up in March, starts to really pick up in April, and starts to taper off come July. Okay. Why do you guys think that is? Why do you think those are our best months for real estate in Utah? That's when the most transactions happen, usually when we have the most listings. Why do you guys think that is? What's that? Everything's green. Okay. It's part of it. Okay. School years is a big one. Yeah. School is a big one. A lot of people base their moves off of family situations. Utah's known to have kids. That's kind of a common thing, but it's also, we don't live in, as much as I wish we lived in San Diego, where it was sunny most of the year and nice and warm, and the temperature was kind of steady Eddie throughout. That's not the case for Utah. We're seeing today it's rainy, and a couple of weeks here we could have snow on the ground. And so people just naturally don't want to make a move during the holiday season and it being freaking cold and there's snow on the ground. Like, that's just not a fun situation to be in. Okay. So a lot of times people base their move off of, well, it's easier. There's more time in the summer. My kids are out of school. So that's usually why that's the case. But there is still pros and cons with every season, depending on what the goal is of somebody and what they're trying to do. My best time for my buyers and some of the things I'm trying to do now to motivate buyers and as what we're trying to do as a team is my best real estate deals for buyers have always come in the winter. Prices always, they go up in that spring summer market and then they taper off and come back down. So your best pricing a lot of times happens in December and January. November, December, January is usually your lowest price point, your best deals, because you have less buyers out there. Sellers, if their home's on the market, they're usually motivated. If they've kept it on the market through the winter and the holidays, and they've got Christmases next week, but they've got an open house this weekend and people are coming through their house. As a seller, you're probably pretty motivated if you're in that situation. So they want to strike a deal. So if you're a buyer in a market like this, some of the best deals will happen this year, will happen the next couple months. So that's something that I'm helping try to educate buyers on. Hey, do you realize that some of the best deals will happen the next couple months? The other thing that a lot of agents don't realize is your big box builders, so your DR Horton, your Lennar, your nationwide builders, they have a quota to hit. Every year they have to try to sell so many houses because they're on the stock market, okay? They're publicly traded, and depending on what they end the year at for closed units, it affects the price of the stock. And so they end up at times slashing prices end of year to try to move things because they've got to hit quota. They've got to sell so many units because their board's they've got to meet those numbers, okay? And so that's another great opportunity to share with people is like, man, new construction, end of year, some of the best prices, great rates, tons of concessions. Those builders want to move things, and so they're motivated. And so do my buyers that are looking to buy, do they know that? And am I showing them things? Am I sending them things? Like that's an opportunity in the wintertime. If you're a seller, one of the things to realize is if you get buyers coming through your home, they're usually pretty motivated because our amount of buyers is down during the winter. So if we have buyers out shopping, actively looking at homes, again, there's just more motivation in those people, buyers and sellers during the winter months. So it doesn't mean it's a bad thing for a seller to sell a home during the winter. But if they're not super motivated, sometimes it's a conversation that, well, it may make sense for us to wait until closer to March, until the market picks back up. We're probably going to maybe get a little bit more money. If a seller is selling and buying, those lateral moves, it doesn't matter. If you sell in the summer and you're getting the most for your home, you're also going to pay a little bit more because that's the market you're in. If you're in the winter, you're also going to net a little bit less, but you're also going to pay a little bit less. You're going to have a little bit more leverage on the buy side. So those situations, I don't think really matter. If somebody's motivated and they're like, man, we just can't do this anymore. We'd really love to be in this house before Christmas. We have a big family party and I need more space. And this has got to be the year. You got to make this happen for us. I wouldn't be concerned about getting the house on the market during the winter either. So, keep those in mind. Okay. There's also a lot of agents that take those holidays and winter months and they just don't work as much. And that starts your year off a little bit slower because you haven't put the time in to lead generate through November and December during the holidays. So that's another thing is like, man, put your head down, put the time in, be intentional when you're at work, when you go off and you're with family and friends and you're messing around and playing and having fun, like have fun, but be intentional with your time when you lead gen. Okay, so this is always interesting. How buyers find their agent. Okay, so referrals from friends, neighbors, relatives. So buyers, that's 47% of the time. For first-time home buyers, it's 57%. And repeat buyers, it's 41%. Okay, used agent previously for a transaction. This is always the one that kills me. And this is why agents in this business were known to be terrible with follow-up. 13% use the agent they used previously. First-time home buyers, obviously they haven't used an agent before. And then repeat buyers is only 19%. So this should be, as you grow a real estate business, for me, it's always been the biggest cheerleaders, your best referral partners are always the people you've closed business with. They know you, they trust you, you've done a deal together, they know what to expect, they know the level of service that you provide. And so those should be the people that you find your most referrals out of. But they also should be the people that you're calling and checking in with. So if you've closed business, as rates start to come down, hey, I'd love to save you money. Remind me where your interest rate is. I'm going to be checking rates with my lender on a regular basis. And once we get to about 0.5% to 1% lower than where you're currently at, how open would you be to having a conversation with my lender about saving you some money? Would that get you excited if I could save you $300 a month? $300-400 a month. Would that help you and your family? Absolutely. Hey, who else do you know would be interested in taking advantage of this? So there's always ways in this market to be able to help and provide value to people. It's not just, hey, are you ready to sell your house? You're ready to sell your house. Okay, so think of ways to nurture those people that have transacted in the past as well. But it's always eye-opening. If you do a great job, those people should be repeat. So inquired about a property they saw online, website, open house signage, referral from another agent, visited an open house. So you can see kind of where a majority of those come from. And you can see why SOI and building a database is where all your money's at, because half of your deals, or a lot of your business for first-time home buyers and buyers, they're going to come from a referral. So what are you doing as you call people to provide value to your database? What are you doing to ask for referrals? How are you teaching people to give referrals? I think that's the other thing. Sometimes when we get into business, we just think that like, oh, my aunt, my friend, my cousin, like, oh, they know if they run into a coworker and they want to buy a house, like for sure they know how to give me a referral. For sure they'll tell them about me. That's not the case. You've got to teach people about what it looks like to give a referral. Okay. Hey, and not asking a yes or no. Hey, do you have somebody that's interested in buying and selling real estate? No, I don't. Subconsciously, you've closed the loop. Who do you know that's interested in buying or selling or has real estate questions? I can't think of anybody right now. Well, when you do think of somebody, can you do me a favor? Can you text me their name and phone number so I have a 100% chance of connecting with them? Can you put us in a group message? I would love to provide value like I've provided to you. I'd love to keep them updated on the market, builder deals, incentives, interest rates dropping. I would love to make sure that they're getting taken care of at a high level because that's the level of service that I provide. Okay. So who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, invest, or just has real estate questions? Okay, and you've got to teach people what it looks like to actually give a referral. Especially for you, Ivan, when you've got like a buyer consult and you've got an ERS being signed. If I was to ask you guys, how many red cars did you see on the way here? Could you tell me how many red cars you saw? Probably not. But I promise you, when you leave today and you're driving to wherever you're going to go, subconsciously, because we've talked about a red car, you'll see and start recognizing all the red cars that are driving on the freeway and around you in the neighborhood and the ones that are parked on the street, because we've talked about it. Okay. So when somebody starts to get interested and they're starting to get into a potential buying or selling situation, guess what? They end up talking to people like, hey, how was your weekend? When they go to work on Monday and they're like, oh, it was really good. What'd you do? Oh, I was out showing houses. I was with Ivan, my buddy. We went and looked at a couple houses. Oh, that's really cool. We were thinking about maybe making a move here. We need a little bit bigger backyard. My wife wants another dog. And man, it would be sweet to have a bigger yard. All right. Well, have you taught them how to give a referral? Do they recognize like how they tee it up so you can get connected with their coworker? Okay. So at the very beginning of that buyer consult or that conversation, are you asking for referrals? Are you teaching how to give referrals? One of the things that I do in every consult, it's called, I should have printed off. I can send it to you guys, but it's called the promise script. Cameron should have it. But the promise script is essentially when you sit down, I end with two things. It's always my promise to you and the agreement that puts me to work, okay? Whether it be the buyer broker or the ERS. And with the promise script, it kind of goes like this. Man, I'm super excited to get you into this house. I'm super excited to get out and start looking at things, get you connected with my lender. But my promise with everybody I work with, Ivan, is to give them a 5-star experience. We deal with people, so naturally there's road bumps, there's problems, and there's going to be things that arise. But again, my commitment is to give you a 5-star experience. How does that sound? How does that sound, Ivan? Good. Well, in return, can I ask you for one thing, Ivan? Is that okay if I can ask you for something in return? Okay, cool. Well, the one thing that I would ask for is during this process, naturally, you're going to start talking to friends and family, and they're going to be interested in what we're doing, and we're out seeing houses. And really, the lifeline of my business is referrals. And so my ask would be that throughout this process, from the time now until the time we're closing on this sweet townhome, that you will send somebody over to me that has looking to buy, sell, or just has real estate questions. Can you do that for me? Okay. And let me take it maybe just a step further, Ivan. What I want is to really help you understand what that may look like. Okay. And so when you get in contact with that person and somebody comes to mind because they're interested or they just have a couple questions about what you and I are doing, what I'm asking you to do, Ivan, is that you will put you will send me their name and their phone number, and you'll text it, email it to me, so I have 100% chance of connecting with them, so I can get them taken care of. Can you do that for me? Okay. Lastly, with this promise, because man, I'm super stoked and want to make sure I deliver on this 5-star experience. If we're at the close table, we're super excited, you're signing, we're getting keys, you're getting in, moving into this new house, and I don't have somebody, you haven't sent me over a name and a phone number, I'm gonna feel like I didn't do my job. I'm gonna feel like I didn't deliver on this 5-star experience. And so we're gonna have to have a little bit of a hard conversation of, man, how do you tee somebody up to me? Or what didn't I do to deliver on this 5-star experience? Okay. Is that okay? Can we have that conversation if we get to that point? And awesome. I sure appreciate it. And I'm committed to making sure that you have just an awesome experience in buying this house. So throughout the process, when we're out seeing houses, again, hey, have you been talking to anybody? You got anybody as far as referral? So I'm asking along the way. No, so I'm asking throughout the process. We get to the end, I still bring it up. It's not that I want to like make them feel bad when they're buying their house, but in that moment, emotions is high. Okay. So logic makes people think, emotions make people act. So when emotions are high, they're super excited, they're getting the house, they've got all their stuff boxed up. I absolutely bring up and be like, man, I'm super stoked. We're leaving the title company. They've got their keys. We signed. I'm like, man, but you didn't send me a name and a phone number, man. What didn't I do? How didn't I deliver on this 5-star experience? I at least have a short conversation with them about it and just say, man, it's okay, but I'm going to keep checking in with you. And I know you probably got people helping you move in this weekend. And so I really am committed to making sure that I can help one of your friends and family. So can you do that for me? Can you just keep that in mind of who do you know that I can help with either buying, selling, or just has real estate questions? Okay. And so then it also sets the expectation after we close that I'm going to be reaching out. I'm going to be asking for referrals. So then it doesn't seem like I'm just, hey, Ivan, hey, how's the new house? Great. Man, who do you know that wants to buy or sell? They already know that there's a reason behind why I'm asking for that because I set the expectation up front if I didn't get it. Okay. When that's done at a high level, I'm dang near almost 100% on everybody I've closed. I've ended up getting another piece of business from, and I've closed another piece of business from that. Okay. So if done right, that's a great way to keep building your business and then adding people to it. Okay. Hey, can you share the promise script with them? We just went over it. We role played it.
Yeah.
Can you send that to them? Do you want a donut? You can have it. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He comes down here straight from Dumford factory. They're as fresh as you can get. Okay, so how sellers are found. Similar situation. Most of them are found through referrals. A lot of them come from first-time sellers, come from friends and family because they've never sold a home before. Okay, so that's why this is so high. Same thing with first-time home buyers. A lot of times, I've never done it before. I don't know what to expect. Who do I know that has somebody that's helped them in the past, and did they have a good experience? Okay, and then you can see used agent previously. It's a little bit higher on the sell side. Because I think it's naturally a little bit harder to be a listing agent. It's a different kind of beast in itself. So listing agents usually get started out, you help a lot of buyers, but eventually if you're doing and building your business right, those people should turn into sellers and you start to flip and your business should start to be a little bit more seller heavy. Doesn't mean you can't come out the gates and be focused on going and getting listings and want to helping people there. Those are just usually, you can see that listing agents tend to just keep helping those people. They nurture those relationships just a little bit higher level, and then everything else is a little bit less. Okay. Any thoughts with this that you guys have? Okay. Opportunities in command. This is really just helping, making sure you guys are putting things in there so you can keep track of things. Okay. So use the CRM. Okay. Track the data, put it in there so you have the information. Okay, classify able, ready, and willing. What does that mean? What does that mean? Somebody that's able, ready, and willing.
They already told you like their timeline. They already told you like their work situation. Like just the motivation, like, hey, we want to go forward with this.
Yep. And this is kind of where we'll get into like, how do you How do you qualify those people? How do I know that they're able, ready, and willing? Obviously, they're able, so they can purchase a house. They're able to do that. They can get qualified. They're ready, meaning the timeline's right. Okay, they're ready to go. It's at the point where they're ready to rock and roll. Let's get out. Let's start seeing some homes, and they're willing to write offers. Okay, so they're willing to take the necessary steps to go through the sales process to get to where they're wanting to go. Okay. Focus becomes, I really love this quote. Focus becomes increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want, when you want it, and what you must do to get it. Okay, so really understanding as you get into real estate. What do you want? When do you want it by? And what must you do to get it? Okay, I think that's also understanding. When we talk about like motivating, how do you wake up? How do you stay motivated? How do you wake up and like, are you just want to get up and just grind and go make the phone calls and knock on doors and have conversations, even when that voice inside is like, man, just don't do it. Sit inside and stay in your bed and watch cartoons today. Like, you don't need to go out and do this. You know, how do you wake up and just be excited to go out and make things happen? I think part of that is really understanding the why behind it. Okay. So if I was to ask you guys, that's why at the very beginning I asked you, like, why are you guys getting into real estate? What is your guys' big why? Anyone want to share? Like, why are you in, not only like, why are you in real estate, but like, why? Like, what is the big why? What's the big purpose? Not now, but like in now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now, like, why are you doing what you're doing in your life right now? What is the reason for it? Okay. Okay. Why? Why is that important to you? Okay. What would that do for you if you owned a lot of houses? And let me ask this, what is a lot of houses? When we talk about clarity, how clear you are with what you want, I would go deeper. What do you mean by a lot of houses? Your a lot of houses and my a lot of houses is probably two different things. Like, how many is a lot of houses? Is that 5? Is it 500? 5,000? What do you mean by that?
I don't know. It's changed since I got started. Now my goal has become different. Like, I want to do real estate. Like, I want to sell houses, be involved, and then I want to take on leadership responsibilities. I look up to like Shoni a lot, being the CEO of the brokerage, and John being like the owner of a brokerage, the owner of like a business, I guess. Like, those are the goals that I kind of have. You know, like, so when I look at this, when I get more specific about it, I think like monthly and yearly goals, like what I want to do to achieve those leadership goals.
Okay. But what's the ultimate big why? Is it still owning a bunch of real estate?
What I'm not saying is, I want to be like that real estate mogul.
Okay. Okay. But I'd get really clear on what does that look like? What is your classification as a real estate mogul? Is that a door count? Is that a title? Is that a running a team? Is that I sell 100 houses a year? Does that make me a real estate mogul? Like, what, in your mind, what is a real estate mogul?
So right now the goal is to sell like 13 a year, like 13 closings a year. In my head, that would get me like 1 point, and then the next point would be like increase that goal, and you know, then on and there forward.
Okay. Okay. And I think that's the kind of purpose behind that. You can do like a big why activity. So you start with this and then you keep asking yourself why. Why is that what I want? Okay. And you keep digging in deeper. And the idea is a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to get in real estate because of this. Or I just like want to go make 100 grand. That's a common thing. And it's like, okay, well, why? Why is that the number? Why is that the thing? Why is it, if I was to ask you, and I'm picking on you, so I apologize, and I appreciate you being willing to work with me and go along with it. Why is 13 closings important? Why isn't it 6? Why isn't it 30? Like, why is 13 the magic number?
That will help me more. After that, it's 13. Once I achieve that goal, it's on next more than that. So the real goal is like progression. I want to like grow and see myself progress the path, get to those goals.
Okay. What I would invite you to do is think through, like, why is that number important and what are you going to do in your life once you achieve that? not only is it progression, and hopefully we're always progressing in business and life, because I think that's hopefully a natural human instinct is to progress. But 13 seems like you've thought through that a little bit. So it's like, all right, would you go buy anything specifically? Is that a number to get you to your first house? As a real estate mogul owns doors, are you going to buy your first door or your second door when you hit 13? Like, let's go really deep here. Let's really tie certain things that are going to happen or change in my life to the number. So it's not just a, hey, man, 10, 13, if I hit it, then I'm going to want to go do 20. That's great. But what specific things are you going to do when you hit the goal? Is there something specific you're going to do when you sell your first house? You're going to go out to dinner to celebrate. Like, now I'd go deeper. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to Ruth Chris's? You're going to go to a fancy steakhouse? Maybe you love Mexican. I'd probably go get street tacos. I love tacos. Probably on a Tuesday. But like, huh? Oh, no. You got to go Salt Lake County, my friend. You got to go West Valley. That's where I'm from. That's where I was raised. There's a couple good spots in West Valley to get some Mexican. But I mean, don't get me wrong. You're from Cali. It's tough to compete over there. But there's a few far in between places here that are decent. But that's what I would invite you guys, and that's an activity you can do is to think through. Anybody else that wants to share? Anyone else got a big why? You may not want to participate because I'm gonna pick on you a little bit. Okay. Okay. What do you mean by that? Okay.
On top of that, to be able to enjoy the hobbies of it. But to rely on as few people as possible to do what I want.
Cool. Cool. I would invite you to get really specific. Like, what does that mean? What's your monthly expenses right now? How much money would you have to make to cover those? You know, so how many, then back into it, how many real estate transactions does that equate to? And so then what's the goal? To be able to get to a passive income, you know, you've got to own assets that spin off some money. So how much is that passive income? Where do we start? Where's the first starting point? You know, am I taking money from every closing and putting it into a separate account to go buy that first rental? Because that first rental, if I run my numbers right, I'm going to make $300, you know, and that's the first step. But I want to get to this big goal of X amount. And so it's really getting clarity around every single step of why you're doing it and understanding not just I want to be self-sufficient, but what does that really mean? How much money does that? How many closings is that? What's my average price of my closings to be able to hit that amount of money? And let's get really clear on what it looks like. And then when you wake up every day, it's not just like, man, I want to be this real estate mogul. It's like, well, I do, but I've got clarity. I know that starts with getting 13 closings first. And when I get my first 13 closings, I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. And once I hit that 13 closing, I know that the goal is going to be X. And once I hit that goal, I know that that's going to change my life because I'm going to go do this. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to go on this vacation. I'm going to take this person here. I'm going to, whatever that looks like. But I'm really clear on, you know, somebody like, well, if I hit this goal, I want to go on vacation and I want to go to Disneyland with my kids. Okay. Well, have you sat down and taken the time to map that out? Where would you stay? What car are you going to rent? You're going to fly? You're going to drive? What kind of tickets you're going to buy? You're going to buy park hoppers? Like, let's get really clear. What is the actual amount needed to do that? And how much money we taken from every closing, and then let's back into it. How many closings do you need to make that happen? And so when you wake up every day, it's not just this idea or thought that I want to go do this. It's I got a lot of clarity on exactly the roadmap that's going to get me to where I want to go. And that's why I'm waking up, staying motivated every day and grinding and making the calls and taking the phone calls and working on the weekends, and because I'm after this specific goal and I'm really clear about it. Okay. So as you guys think through that, ask that question. Why am I doing this? And then dig deeper. Well, why do I want that? What's the purpose of that? Who's going to be affected if I go achieve those things? Okay. And be super clear. Okay. We talked a little about that. Buyer, seller, able, ready, willing to do business, 14 days, buy, sell. I would look at it. We look at things a little bit slightly different. So I look at people in my pipeline is hot, nurture, watches. Okay. It correlates with able, ready, and willing. So my hots would be somebody that's going to transact or timelines in the next 90 days, 3 months. Okay. Those are my hots. Those people I should be calling on a weekly basis. If we're out, I've got a buyer broker signed. We're probably talking multiple times a week. Okay. So those are my hots. Those are people that every week I better be following up. I better be calling, because if you don't answer the phone, they're going to be on Zillow clicking on something and going and seeing a house. Okay, they got to be top of mind. The nurtures are going to be anybody that's 3 to 12 months. Okay, so these are people that they've hand raised. We may be working on a pre-approval. We may be fixing credit. We may need to finish a couple projects at a house. We may need to get son or daughter graduated from high school before we can get the house listed. So there's things that need to happen, but those people are also still top of mind. So I'm still running down that list on a weekly basis, and I'm probably calling every couple months or every month. So if I'm closer to that 3 or 6 month, I'm probably calling monthly. If I'm 12 months, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12 months out, I'm probably calling every other month to check in with them and see kind of how things are progressing. And what that looks like sometimes is just a mere, hey, I saw this house, I thought of you, it checked a lot of boxes. What are your thoughts? You know, sometimes things change where motivation's there. And if a perfect home in a perfect neighborhood popped up, even though they told you, Ivan, that they wanted to buy in 9 months, all of a sudden the perfect property pops up. And like all of a sudden, because I've got systems in place and I'm checking in every so often, they're like, man, I actually really want to see this. So you go see it and they're like, man, we really needed to get these couple things done before we can make this happen. And it's like, well, let's talk. Could we pull this off? Let's work together now. Let's get with the lender. Let's brainstorm some ideas, like how can we make this possible? So that's the thing. Usually if you find the person what they want, sometimes timelines changes a little bit. Okay, so it's important to stay on top of those people.
Get qualified and you don't buy until like a couple months from now, it only matters that you got qualified, you know? If you have to get qualified again, it'll be a faster process. But just because we're qualified doesn't mean I'm like forcing you to buy, you know, like it's like that pre-approval letter that has so much power in the buying process.
Yep.
So if you get qualified today and you don't close until December or anything, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that we got a meeting in person and a pre-approval letter done.
Yep. Well, knowledge is power. So isn't it helpful for you, Ivan, to understand how much home you can afford and to have that knowledge and information? And then from there, great. If you buy in a week, fantastic. If you buy in 4 or 5 months, guess what? I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be sending you houses. I'm still going to be helping you because we're friends. We're in this for the long haul, man. So, and then my watches are just anybody outside 12 months. A lot of times that's how I classify kind of my whole database. So that's my SOIAs. That's my people that I'm calling every quarter, you know, they're in watch. So that's kind of how we classify things as a team. And that's some of the things that have helped me understand, you know, am I staying on top of these people? Am I looking at that list? And so really this is just talking about how do you classify people kind of in an A, B, C manner, where A is like your hots, B's your nurtures, and C's is your watch that are just farther out. Okay. And so you got to stay on top of those people. Okay. Any ahas up to this point? Any certain things you guys are writing down, taking away? Any? Okay. Yep. Okay, cool. What else?
The question is like, your blank is different from my blank. Like, what is in your mind? What is it? What do you like? It just keeps the conversation going.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good one.
It's simple, like when you're reaching out to either investors or home buyers and have parameters. Just saying, oh, I saw a property and thought of you. What are your thoughts? I think that's good. Complicating it is something that I would do.
Got it. Yep. Yeah, I love the fact that I think humans love being thought of. Okay. It's a human nature. Like somebody reaches out on your birthday and is like, man, happy birthday. Thinking of you. I hope you have a fantastic day. Obviously for all of us, like that goes a long ways. Like it matters, you know? And so sending a message, just a link to the MLS and just saying, hey, saw this home, thought of you today. Could be somebody, those are texts I'll send for somebody that they were a hand raiser 9 months ago, but I still have a hot sheet set up. You know, I know we're working towards it, but they're not super motivated, but I also don't want them to think I forgot about them. So my follow-up with buyers a lot of times is that literal text message. Hey, saw this home today, was thinking of you. Take a look. Let me know if you guys want to go see it. Hey, saw this home, was thinking of you. How are you and your wife? How are you and the kids? You know, what's new? So it opens a conversation of, man, my mind was brought to your thinking of you because I saw this house and it kind of fit your criteria. And it's just simple, short, but also lets them know like, hey, I care about you and I was thinking of you today. So what else? What do you guys think? Any takeaways so far? I'll have to send D'Angelo my favorite Mexican spots in West Valley. See if he can rank them. You'll have to, yeah. You have to send me yours so I know the best spots when I go to San Diego with my kids. I love tacos. Love tacos. Whoa, that's really? That's terrible. Ah, I don't think that's I feel like probably the best taco that's in Utah County that I've been able to find so far. I live in Salt Lake County. I grew up there. I still live there. So I don't eat a ton of stuff up in Utah County, but there's a place called Holy Taco. It's off State Street over by the mall. And it's only El Pastor. So they don't do there's no carne asada, there's no chicken. It's just straight up El Pastor with pineapple, street tacos. They do a gringo, which is like almost like a quesadilla, so a big flour taco folded over that's got cheese, El Pastor, onions, cilantro. So that place, D'Angelo, maybe you try it. Give me a ranking and see what you think. They only sell El Pastor, so they do street tacos. There's no enchiladas, there's no burritos, there's nothing else. Just straight up, I just get tacos with cheese. It's a building, brick and mortar. Yeah. Kind of tucked back. So it's not bad. It's not bad. So that place is good. Okay. Any other ahas you guys have got so far? Okay. Okay. Qualified buyers and sellers. So let's just jump into this. Let's look at this. You guys want to start with buyer or seller first? Okay. You guys want to start with the buyer? Okay. Sweet. So this would be, and this is something I would literally, so our inside sales, they literally have this in front of them. And so they're literally going down this every single lead and making sure they're asking these questions. Okay. This is really the thing that will help you understand when you're talking to somebody that's interested in buying a home. Okay. Or potentially buying a home. And this could be somebody, as you guys grow a business, you know, eventually you get leads coming in where somebody clicked on your website and you got a lead coming in, or, you know, maybe at this point it's like so-and-so tees you up a name and says, hey, Ivan, I got a buddy who's potentially thinking about buying. Okay. So you cool if we role play together? Okay. So that's the background. Somebody sent me over a kind of a referral or a name from a buddy. And so I'm going to call Ivan and we're going to have a conversation based off of that kind of knowledge. Okay. Yeah, you're the referral. So I'll kind of run you through this list and kind of how I would do it. Okay. So ring. Hey, is this Ivan? Hey, Ivan, this is Cody Thorup. I'm with Keller Williams. I'm calling your buddy, D'Angelo sent your number over to me. He mentioned you were maybe kicking around the idea of buying a house in the near future. And so I wanted to get connected with you. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, we were at a barbecue this weekend and we were just talking about, you know, the marketing and stuff. So yeah, I remember.
Cool. Well, I'd love just to understand, is it okay if I ask you just a few questions to kind of understand a few things so we're all on the same page? Is that okay? Okay. Well, let me just start. Where are you kind of looking at? Like if you were to buy a house, Ivan, tell me a little bit about that. Where would you want to buy?
I've seen cheaper houses there. They have like more of that. The yard is really important for me, so that's my view.
Okay, awesome. Tell me specifically, why are those areas so important to you? I know you mentioned a little bit cheaper, but like tell me a little bit more about that. Why do you want to be there?
Not that far from Orem. I have family in Orem, so I don't mind the 10-15 minute freeway rather than, you know, Salt Lake 30-minute, be about it 30-minute, you know.
Cool. So family's pretty important to you?
Yeah.
Cool. You guys get together quite often, hang out and things?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you have to invite me over. And this is one thing too that you guys will recognize as we're trying to go deeper. Just like asking big why, I'm asking like, it's easy to say, oh, Springville, Spanish Fork, write that down. Great. Location next. Timeline. Hey, when do you want to buy this house? No, find out. Emotions make people act. Logic makes them think. So if I just take logic and just info or data and write those down, all right, it's giving me my checklist of things that he wants. That's great. What's the emotion side behind it? Okay. Because at some point, Ivan's going to get to a point where, man, he's discouraged because we can't find the house he wants. He's discouraged because the payment's a little bit higher than he wants. And those are the times I have to come back to Ivan and say, man, Ivan, remember that first conversation we had? And you were telling me how you really didn't want to miss out on those barbecues and that carne asada on a weekend, and how important it was to be near your family. Is that still important to you? Is that still why we're doing this? Okay, so I know it's not perfect, but are we still committed to getting in this house and making sure we're close to family if we do this? So it's again bringing that emotion, like, man, how would that feel if you don't buy a house and you end up having to stay in West Valley and it's so far away from Orem and you can't get there on the weekends? Like, do you want that? Like, no, so sometimes you have to bring it back. So that's why it's important to dig deep as you're qualifying people and really understand not only what they want, but why. Why do they want it? Okay. So we kind of understand that specific area. Well, he told me it's that because it has cheap houses, but we ask a little bit deeper and it's really not the fact that that's part of it, but the real emotional side is he just wants to be around family. And so maybe a follow-up question I'd ask Ivan is, well, Ivan, let me ask you this. If I was to find what you were looking for, I know we haven't really got into that, but if I was to find you what you wanted, but let's say it was a similar distance from Springville and Spanish Fork. So I don't know, like American Fork, Linden, PG, would you be open to that at all?
I also want my family to visit me from time to time, so I don't want to make a hassle for them to drive out so far, but that works.
Okay. And maybe just so I understand, Ivan, tell me, what would be the ideal distance? Is that a certain mile? Is that like a time in the car? What does that look like?
15, 20-minute freeway.
Okay. So
I don't want them to stuck in traffic coming to my house,
cool.
I want them to be able to visit me any day of the week if they want. I don't want them to have to wait for the weekend to, drive out.
Okay. No, I can appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense. So I'll keep that in mind, 15, 20 minutes in the car. So that's also, sometimes we have to go outside of a search to find things, but those are also times where I'm like, hey, Ivan, I found this home. It's kind of on the border of Lehigh and Saratoga. It's in the price point and I mapped it. It's literally 18 minutes to your mom's house. Like, do you want to check it out? So I know I'm checking some of those emotional boxes. Correct. Yeah, because I asked a little bit more and I dug a little bit deeper to understand the why. Okay. Well, Ivan, man, that's awesome. I'll keep that in mind. I appreciate the info there. Tell me about kind of timeline. If you could find a property in those locations within your budget that has what you want, is there anything that would stop you from writing an offer today?
No, man, I'm ready to get packing if I find the right house.
Okay. Well, tell me more about that. If you're ready, and you're really understand, is there kind of a time frame or a deadline you're trying to meet?
Yeah, in the winter, I work construction, so it usually starts to slow down. So I just want to get, nested in and relax, like build my new home.
Okay. So help me understand, what's your ideal time frame? Like, is there a date?
Before Christmas.
Okay, that helps me. So before Christmas, so we're working towards that timeline. What's the most you're willing to pay for a property? Have you thought about that?
I haven't talked with any lenders yet, so I don't really know my price point, but I want my monthly payment to be under 2.5.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Why is that? And let me ask you, Ivan, why is that important to you, that number?
Yeah, I've tracked my expenses with, my wife and stuff, so that just seems like a reasonable number.
Okay. Let me ask you too, Ivan, if we found, again, just hypothetical, if we found perfect house, everything you wanted in the right area, but let's say that monthly payment was 3,200 a month, is that just too high? Is that a deal breaker for us?
Not necessarily, but 3.5, 3.67 would be.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. That helps me understand. And the reason why I want to ask that, and most of the time when you ask this price question, most people don't, honestly, price isn't really the thing. It's the monthly payment. And so understanding it helps me weed out, have they met with a lender? Do they understand kind of what monthly payment is? If not, then my next question follow-up is, hey, what's your monthly payment? Ivan already knows because he's been doing it, so, hey, well, tell me a little bit about price. Let's not talk about that. What's your monthly payment? What would you like that to be? What are you currently paying? What do you want it to be? But I also want to dig a little deeper and ask him, where's the breaking point? I want to find out where it's absolutely a deal breaker, because I don't want to go show him a couple houses, run some numbers. When we get there, they're super excited. They're like, man, Ivan, this is the best house you've sent us. I love it. My wife is so excited. Dude, she's already just imagining her being in this big bathtub in the master. Like, dude, we're so excited. What's the monthly payment? Oh, it's looks like it'll be like $3,900. He's like, oh, now are you telling her or am I telling her that I can't afford this and we have to go buy something cheaper? So it helps me to start understanding when I'm looking at homes. I'll run some rough numbers and be like, all right, I know he ideally wants to be at 2,500 or 3,000. That's what most people say. But if you push harder and say, hey, if I found you the perfect house, let's say maybe it's 3,400, is that a deal breaker? Because most people are like, no, we could probably make it work. We're probably gonna have to sacrifice, but if it's the right house, I'd probably be willing to sacrifice and pay the couple $100. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to get qualified for it, but it also helps me really understand what that looks like. Okay, so again, digging deeper with each one. Okay, so we kind of understand price, why that's important to them. They've looked at budget. Tell me about motivation. So is this going to be your first purchase? Do you currently own?
Yeah, I'm renting. It'll be my first. Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while, so.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit more about that, Ivan.
Yeah.
Why do you want to get into a house? Oh, this has been on your mind and something you've been thinking about.
I just want to set my future kids up. I don't want to sacrifice working, and I want to spend time with them and have equity build up to that stuff.
Man, that's cool. Tell me future kids.
Yeah, we don't have any kids right now, but my wife says she needs 3 kids by whatever age. So that's what we're planning on.
Got it. So it sounds like you really understand the power of buying and owning real estate then.
Yeah, I mean, especially for construction, I've been around it all my life, so that's what I've been up to.
Cool. How will you feel if you don't make this happen? How do you think that'll make you and your wife feel if we can't accomplish this?
Just digging a hole with the rent, we're not getting anywhere. I just want to finally own something, call it mine.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like you guys are pretty motivated to make this happen. Cool. And sometimes when you ask those questions as far as motivation, you also want to tie it into making them think into the future. What does it look like if you don't get this done, if you don't move forward and you don't make some sacrifices and we get into this house, whether it's the bigger yard or the extra bedroom or I want to buy it for my kids. Yeah, you're bringing the emotion level back up. So I'm taking on kind of a roller coaster ride with their emotions. I want them to understand, like, why are you doing it? Well, what happens if you don't do it? How does that make you feel? Is your wife going to be excited? No, she'll probably leave me. She'll probably kick me out of the house. Like, she's got to have enough room for her 2 dogs and 3 kids. So really understanding and digging deep. Agency is an important one to understand. Have you toured any homes yet? This is important because this is where you start weeding out. Are they working with another agent?
No, I haven't. I see homes because I work building them, but I haven't seen any to buy.
Got it. Cool. You guys been in the open houses, toured it, went through any?
My wife went last weekend. We saw one, but the agent's just been bugging us the whole week. So, yeah.
Got it. I hate when they do that. Don't worry, I won't do that to you, Ivan. Is there anybody else you're interviewing and potentially working with to accomplish this goal of getting into a house?
No, not really. I've always thought about buying it myself because me and my dad have connections with construction, but I just want to get out of my rent ASAP. So
Okay. And let me ask too, Ivan, are you the person when something feels right, you move forward with the decision, or are you kind of a person who wants to explore your options first and then decide?
Yeah, I'd like to explore my options. I want to see, you know, the numbers. I'm a number guy. Like I like everything on the sheet and seeing the best options.
Okay. Okay. That's super helpful. I appreciate you sharing that with me. And let me ask, sounds like you'll be financing this. You had mentioned earlier that you hadn't met with anybody. Do you have a lender in mind?
I don't know if this counts, but I have an account with Not America. I've been using it all my life, so I don't know if that really matters.
Got it. Okay. Well, I've got a great lender. Usually, so too, banks are really good, at banking. They do a lot of different things. They do car loans, they do credit cards. They obviously handle, your accounts and money and things. And they do mortgages. But what I've recognized and realized, Ivan, in my experience is that my lender only focuses on home mortgages. So they're really dialed in. And so costs and rate tends to be really good when I've compared it through other different options. Doesn't mean it's not helpful to get a second opinion on things, but are you against me connecting you with my lender, Jake, with Aries and letting him run some scenarios and numbers for you?
No, man. I Yeah, that sounds helpful.
Okay, awesome. Well, it sounds like, Ivan, I appreciate all the information you've given me. This is super helpful for me to understand kind of where you're coming from. Just so you know what next steps look like in this process for me it sounds like it would make a lot of sense for us to sit down in person and to dive in a little bit deeper to what it looks like to purchase a home, but also pull up the big screen with you and your wife and start pulling up some properties that kind of fit what you guys are looking for. How does that sound? Yeah, I've got some time either today or Monday, this afternoon or Monday at 11 o'clock. What would either of those times work for you? Okay, great. Um, and what I'll do too, homework assignment will be for you and for myself is after we hang up, Ivan, just so you know, I'm gonna put you in a group message with Jake and he'll get you an application for the lending side of things. And pretty straightforward. I get that filled out. If you can get it filled out before our appointment on Monday, that'll also help us to understand and know kind of where we're at for our pre-approval. And so if you can tackle that this weekend, that would help be a little bit more prepared for our Monday meeting. Yeah, just a couple of things. It's pay stubs, taxes, and a lot of times they can run some rough numbers off of what you input in on the initial application to give us a rough idea, and then they'll verify it with W-2s, tax returns, pay stubs, those kind of things. So if you can get that all done, you can knock it out in the weekend. That would be awesome. If not, don't stress about it. If at a minimum you could fill out the application, I would appreciate it. Okay. Well, man, I'm excited to meet with you on Monday. I'll confirm things Monday morning with you or Sunday evening, and then I look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, thanks. Along the way, I'm taking notes. I'm writing all this stuff down, okay? It seems like this is a lot of info and a lot of the stuff that you guys would cover in a buyer consult, but this is the purpose of it, is to really understand what's the why behind it, where's the emotion, why are they doing it? Let me get some initial info, but also this process weeds out. Sometimes we talk to people and they're like, yeah, I'm excited. Well, this is why we're doing it. You get to agency and you're like, hey, well, have you toured any homes? Yeah, we've been looking at a bunch of houses. And it's like, hey, well, have you written any offers? Well, yeah, a couple of weeks ago we wrote an offer. We were like, oh, really? How was that? Well, we missed out on the house. We didn't get it. And it's like, okay, who wrote that offer for you? Oh, well, there's this guy named Jim that helped us write the offer. Okay, did you sign an agreement to work with him? I don't know. I don't think so. Well, to take you through a home now, because our industry's changed a little bit, you have to have an agreement signed. And I'm assuming he probably had an agreement signed to send you an offer because you legally should have that signed before you do any of that. It's probably likely that they've signed something with that agent. And so we're going to have to dig into that and understand it a little bit more. How committed are you to Jim? Sounds like you guys have been looking at houses, writing offers. You've got to start digging into that and understanding it. So it hopefully helps you weed out some of the people that may not be worth your time because they're already committed to somebody else. Okay. Any ahas with this that you guys got? Any thoughts, feedback?
Fly like in person.
You can, yeah. Depending on the person and
Like some people they'll do it at home, and others are like so worried and scared that they want
Yep. And I would give, people love options. So I would also wouldn't shy away from giving people options to say, hey, couple options with getting pre-approved. I can send you over the application. I can get you connected in a group message, or when we come in and we meet together, Ivan, on Monday, I can have my lender come down and actually kind of review the application with you. What would you prefer? And then you can set expectations and give them the option. You know, so if it's somebody that's a little bit hesitant, sometimes give them an option and let them know, hey, these are a couple things you can do. Okay. What else? What else you guys takeaways from this? Is this helpful at all? You guys learning stuff from this?
Yeah.
Can I give you some other advice? Don't ever show don't show a house without sitting down with somebody, especially now, especially with the industry. Don't go show houses. Somebody calls you up and they're like, man, I'm excited to see this house. Can you go show it to me tonight? I'd love to show you that house, Ivan. My business, normally before we go see houses, we sit down and we chat through things. And I want to really understand why we're doing it. And I want to understand kind of where you're at and if you're pre-approved. So again, I'd go through this process. I'd ask all these questions. I'd really understand that. And it's not that I would absolutely never do it. It's just you better, are they pre-qualified? Can you get an agreement signed? You've got to have one signed before you go show them a house. You know, it's hard to show up on the doorstep and be like, all right, I know we haven't talked a ton, but legally I have to have this signed. So let's really recap this really quick, what this buyer broker agreement is, and please sign here. Like, it's a little, so like, I'd also help set expectations. Hey, I don't know if you're aware, Ivan, one of the things that changed our industry this year in August was now I legally have to sign an agreement with you. And what that is it means that we're working together. And so I want to make sure you are aware, and any great agent is going to ask you to sign this. And I'm really transparent up front in my business. That's how I do things. And so I want to make sure you're aware of what this is, why we have to get it signed. And I'd love to go through that. And I've found it's just best if we do that sitting down in person, and then we can review things together. And so before we go see this house, do you think you could come to my office 30 minutes early? Let's sit down, go through a few things, review this, and then let's go see the property. Does that work? Awesome. So I really want to set the expectation. Every time I don't have a meeting with somebody in person and go through expectations, it always bites me in the butt. Always. It always.
Like before the settlement, I would show houses, and then I'd never get a call back. So it's like a waste of my time.
Yep.
I showed them, like, obviously it only took like half an hour, but it's like a wasted client.
Yep.
They already got what they needed. They don't need me anymore, you know?
Yep. Yep. There's no commitment. So the agreement's the golden ticket. Okay. Any other ahas out of this? Okay. Do you guys want to role play the seller? Does this make sense? You want me to go through the seller one? Okay. Anyone else want to role play with me? Any takers? Ivan wants to go again? Okay, let's go again. Here's something else I'd tell you. It's a little bit different. Well, it applies for both buyer and seller. I always want to make sure that you're calling, no matter where the source comes from, leads come from. A lot of times on our team, for example, we have a situation where a lead comes in, our ISAs work it, and then they get an appointment set up for, let's say, example for myself. Hey, I've got an appointment tomorrow with Ivan. We're going to be meeting at the office. Great. Sometimes we get in the habit of when, sometimes people connect us with other people and we get an appointment set up, we negate the process to do this. Don't ever do that. It's like sports. There's fundamentals that you need to go through every single time to be successful. And this is one of those things. I always want to pick up the phone and I always want to just confirm things. So as I go through a listing side, I may get some of this information. We may set the appointment, but as I start preparing for my appointment, I always want to then call again because I usually have some other questions. Hey, Ivan, I can see on the county records, it says it's a 3-bed, 2-bath. A lot of times we're not going to get into all that during this process. But when I'm preparing, I want to make sure I'm coming ready. So we'll dive into a little bit of that, kind of the aftermath of this before I go see the house. Okay. We can roll similar situation. Maybe it's just somebody that we had called in the past and it's in your database. So it's an SOI and they said, hey, yeah, Ivan, we'd be interested. We're just a couple months out. Maybe call me in a month and we'll chat. Okay. So I'm calling Ivan back in a month. Okay. Ring, ring. Hey, Ivan, it's Cody. How are you? Good, good. How's your week been? Cool. How's the family? How's the wife and kids?
Oh man, they're growing. They're growing faster than I thought they would. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, I saw a photo on Instagram the other day of your daughter. Man, she is getting so big. I can't believe how much she's grown since the last time I saw her.
Like next thing you know, she's gonna be out the house. So
I know, crazy, crazy. Well, I know the reason I was calling, we talked about a month ago. You had mentioned that to follow back up with you and reach out. We had chatted a little bit about you guys wanting to maybe sell the house you're in and make a move. And so I had some time today in my schedule and I wanted to connect with you and just ask a couple of questions. Is that okay? Cool. Well, let me just, I know I've got here, but let me just double check the address you have that I've got is 123 Main Street. Is that correct for your guys' house now? Cool. And then let me ask, we haven't really got into this. Where are you guys wanting to move to?
we just want to get a bigger house, and it doesn't really matter where, but we just want to stay in Utah County.
Okay, cool. So just anywhere. And when you say Utah County, I mean, you guys Eagle Mountain to
Yeah.
Mapleton, like you kind of everywhere?
But we plan to stay here, grandkids, so.
Okay. And when you say bigger home, tell me more about that.
Yeah, not necessarily more rooms since my kids are getting older, but just land. That would be really good.
Cool. Why is land so important to you?
Parties, all the soccer games. Just want to have space for family and my grandkids.
Okay. Do you know, and let me ask too, so we're on the same page. Do you know kind of how big of a lot you're looking for?
Uh, not really. I'm just so used to the backyard, front yard scenario. I don't know how much like an acre is or half an acre, you know?
Okay. But it sounds like it's pretty important to be able to play soccer, let the kids run around. Sounds like I know you guys love horses. You gonna take your 3 horses with you?
Yeah, they're still staying with us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, let me ask if you could get an accepted offer in the next 30 days, is there anything that would stop you from taking that offer on your house?
I'm just worried about not having a place to live if we don't find, that the next property,
Okay. So as long as we have that next house lined up, there's nothing that would keep you guys from making it happen. Okay. And let me also ask, when do you guys, is there a certain timeline that you guys are trying to meet, a deadline with wanting to make this happen?
Yeah, my daughter's quinceañera is in December, so I want to.
We got to get going then. Okay. And let me ask too, do you have a specific date in December for that? Okay, December 20th. Okay. Well, that's helpful for me to understand that we got to get to work. We're gonna have to get going. Okay. What do you believe is top dollar for your property? What do you think your house is currently worth?
580. 580. What I
Okay. What has you confident in thinking that it's 580?
down the street they sold it for 560, and I have a couple more square footage. I have an extra room. I framed an extra room in the living room, so that would be helpful.
Okay. Who do you think is the ideal buyer that would pay top dollar for this house? What do you think that buyer looks like?
I'd say a new couple, that's be married, first time home buyers. I mean, this is where I grew my family, so I don't see why it wouldn't be a perfect home for another family.
Cool. What do you think? What about your property do you think people will be attracted to?
The patio in the back, I built it, so it's perfect for, the grill, the chairs, the tables. I had a lot of good memories there.
Okay. Let me ask too, when it comes to price, one of the things that's common when I work with sellers, Ivan, is price is one thing, but there's an amount that a lot of people are wanting to net as they're kind of walking away, money they want to put in their pocket. What's that number? Do you have a number in mind how much you and your wife are hoping to be able to walk away with?
First, we just need that down payment for the next house, but we'd also like, some cushion to be able to decorate the new home. So I don't know, still at around 580. 300.
Okay, so you're hoping to walk away with somewhere close to 300? Okay. Okay, that's helpful. And when you say decorate the house and different things, how much money do you think that would take?
My wife wants.
I mean, if I ask the wife, she's probably gonna, it'd probably be 100 grand, but
Yeah.
what, how much does Ivan hope it's gonna be?
Max 100 grand. She wants a fireplace and, all that stuff in the back of them. She wants it to be well lit, all that stuff, garden, everything. So max 100 grand.
Okay, cool. I ask these questions because sometimes people say, hey, well, I want to sell the house. I need, I know I'm going to need some down payment funds, but I need to pay off my credit card. I want to pay my truck off. And I want to understand what those numbers are, because this starts to put together the plan of, all right, he thinks his house is worth 580 and he also wants to net this much money. Okay, so it starts to build out my net sheet of what I need to try to pull off to make this a win-win. Okay. And you mentioned you need more land. Is there anything else that's causing you and your wife to want to move right now?
Dogs take a bed out. She just wants them to have space outside. A lot of trees. She likes just having a nice scenery with that. So that's what we're looking for.
Okay. Okay. And let me ask too, are you interviewing any other agents to help you with this?
I was thinking of starting it myself, but I don't have the time to do that.
Okay. Well, that's why we're talking. I'm the best there is. I'm the best there is. Agency too, I mean, it's important to ask that sometimes with your SOI, sometimes it's in the bag, and what I mean by that is just like not going to use anybody else, but it's also just a great question to ask to make sure, like, am I competing against anybody? Are you talking to anybody else as far as maybe getting help with selling your house? Sometimes it's, well, I was considering selling it myself. Well, tell me about that. Why are you considering selling it yourself, Ivan? Why was that maybe an option you were thinking of?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that houses sell themselves, so I just thought of putting a for sale sign in front. But I mean, somebody knocked on my door and said they'd sell it. They just charge me whatever and just put it on their database. But I don't know anything about that.
Got it. And sometimes it comes down to, usually they want to sell on their own because it's commissions. That's usually what you're trying to weed out, is just, well, tell me specifically, why are you concerned about paying commissions? So if that was the objection, if they're like, hey, I'm going to sell my house, well, because it was just, I've heard that it's really expensive to pay an agent, well, tell me, why is that concerning to you? Why are you worried about, maybe paying for commissions?
Yeah, I feel like, I made the payments. I feel like the payments should come back to me and not an agent.
Okay. And let me ask you this, Ivan. If I can net you what you and your wife want, and we pay off your mortgage, we get you into this new house, you guys are excited, and when we sell this home, we pay all the closing costs, I make what my commission is, but you guys get what you want. Any concerns with hiring me?
Oh man, as long as it's a win-win, I want you to, have a good deal too. So.
Okay. Well, I'm committed to making sure that you and your wife obtain your goals. So know that my goal is to make sure that happens. And, I think I'm worth every dollar, and I'll help you understand that once we meet in person. But let me ask, with your current mortgage, do you know what you owe on your house right now?
Yeah, I owe.
Okay. Okay. And then do you have a specific amount that you're wanting to put down on that next house? I know we talked down payment. Have you talked to a lender at all? Is there?
I just know that for bigger houses, you need a bigger down payment, but I don't really have an idea.
What that is? Okay. Let me understand too. On this next house, what are you guys hoping your monthly mortgage is going to be? Your new payment?
If you have a bigger down payment, I'd say 3 grand, 55.
Okay. What are you guys paying now? What's your current mortgage? Okay. Okay. Cool.
If it'll be my retirement home, I don't mind keeping it around the same, maybe a little higher. But if it's a bigger home, it's understandable that it will be higher.
Okay. Okay. That'll be helpful. Do you have a lender in mind at all that's going to help you on the purchase?
Well, I bought this house with Jake a couple years ago, so I don't know if he's still in the business.
Okay. good news is he is. So I'll make sure we get connected. We can start that process too. And so sitting down and me seeing the house will help, kind of understand kind of where we're at with things, and then we can kind of run numbers. Well, Ivan, it sounds like it would be helpful at this point, so and understand kind of the process and next steps. It would be helpful for me to come out, set up a time, come out, walk the home with you and your wife, take a look at it. There's a couple of things that I like to do when I prepare homes to be sold. I want to make sure that you understand all the data and we can review that together. But then also I want to make sure that maybe some projects and things that may be worth us tackling now to prepare the home so it's ready and we can maximize the sell. Okay. Mornings, evenings, best for you? Evenings. Okay. It looks like I got time either Saturday between 3 and 5, or I could maybe squeeze a time in my schedule on Monday at about 5:30. You have a preference?
Already on Saturday, so you could do 3 p.m. That would work.
Okay, great. Well, I'll plan on 3 p.m. Just so you know too, Ivan, I'm going to be preparing and putting a lot of this information together and starting to pull some of the data together. Would it be okay? I may give you a call. I'll send you a text, but would it be okay if we connected either later tonight or first thing in the morning as I kind of put everything together? Okay, perfect. Well, I'm excited to see you. Excited to walk the house. It's been a few years, and I'll call you here. Send you a text, and we'll sync up later tonight or first thing in the morning. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so my process is start there. We get all the info, we get the appointment set, and then from there, obviously, you've got your address, you've got how much he owes, you've got what he's wanting to pay off. So I've got a kind of a plan in place, okay?
When you follow up like that same night, is that with a confirmation of the appointment and CMA?
Two. Well, I'm not sending a CMA. What I'm doing is I'm working on the CMA. So normally we've always got questions on. That's where I'll follow up and just say, hey, Ivan, man, I'm digging into this. I'm looking at comps, pulling a few things. I looked at you. You mentioned your neighbor's house down the road. Let me ask you, what things have you guys done to the home since you've been in there? I know you said something about a patio, and let's talk about that. Have you replaced the roof? How old's the HVAC system? Okay. Tell me about, one of the questions I love asking is, if you were to stay in this home for the next 3 to 5 years, is there any certain projects that you and your wife have thought about tackling?
Yeah, we just need a new water heater. The water's not hot enough for the shower.
Okay. So I'm starting to really understand kind of where we're at. And then the other thing, by asking what they owe on the house and what they want to net, I know, and I've asked him what his house is worth, then I know kind of what I'm going into. Sometimes you go to an appointment, if you don't ask these things, you sit down, have data, and your comps say that the house is worth 550. Well, Ivan thinks his house is worth 600. I didn't pull any comps that were higher at 600 to help him understand why a buyer's not going to pay 600 for his house. I don't have any active homes at 600. I don't have the data for me to say, Ivan, help me understand. If I'm a buyer, you're telling me your house is worth 600. We know what your house looks like. Here's a house that's priced at $599.9 right now. It's 500 square feet bigger. It's got an extra bedroom, and it sits on a lot that's twice the size of yours. If I'm a buyer, which home do you think I would want to buy if they're the price the same? Probably the bigger one. Well, I've got another one that's same situation. It's at 589, still bigger lot, totally remodeled. So again, let's talk about, we've got to set proper expectations here. I'm not saying that I don't think I would want to sell your house for $1 million if I could, Ivan. I'm not telling you that I don't want to sell it for as much money as possible. What I'm trying to help you understand, what we need to understand is a home is only worth what a buyer will pay for it. Okay. And so let's just look at the data, and I want data to drive that conversation. I don't want to be telling them their house isn't worth 600. I want to show them that the data shows that there's no way we're going to get 600. And it's okay to be upfront and ask them and just say, hey, I know you're going to buy a house, so let's put you in buyer shoes for a moment. If you're a buyer and you were looking in this area neighborhood, and I have these 2, 3, 4 houses, and yours is priced the same as these, why would a buyer pay the same amount for your house that they would for these, knowing they're bigger, nicer, newer? Let's talk about that and put it back on them to help them understand, like, these are the things that buyers are thinking. And so we've got to make sure that you're thinking the same thing as a seller. Okay. If they say, hey, I want 550 for my house, and I'm looking at comps, and the comps are telling me it's worth 575, that's an easy one. Because I'm going in and being the hero, telling them, man, good news, Ivan. I've ran comps. Zillow was wrong. I know Zillow said 550. Guess what? Good news is it's 575. You're netting 25 grand more. Okay. And here's why. Here's the data. And so understanding those, what do they think the house is worth? How much do they owe? And how much do they want to walk away with? Helps me understand, how do I storytell? My goal with pulling comps is to storytell. I want to tell a story to come to the conclusion of where I think we should price the home. Okay. So that follow-up call is confirming appointment, but it's also asking some of those questions. How old's the roof? How old's the HVAC? What have you done to the house? If you stayed there longer, is there any projects you guys would want to do? So I can start to compare side by side with some of these houses.
This situation is netting 300K, like, reasonable? Like, what have people told you?
Well, it could be. So that's the other thing that helps you understand. It's one thing if they want a certain amount for the house, but if they want 550 for the house, they owe 400. So there's 150 spread, and they're just looking like, well, I think that's worth 550, and I owe 400, so I want a net 150. Well, now I'm going to have an objection. I've got to help them understand why there's closing costs and what that looks like, and why we're paying concessions and how much commissions cost, and that could be a sticky point of a hard conversation because they want a net 150 because they think they don't understand that there's cost involved in selling a house.
You gotta tell them to spare 10% for all that closing costs, commission, that.
Yeah, 10% is a really safe bet. So Dean's been known to say that. Obviously, because if you're 3% on the listing commission, 3% on a buy, there's 6. You're usually it's really safe to say you're 1% in title fees and closing costs there. It's never 1%, but it's very conservative. You always, you don't ever want to overpromise and underdeliver. You want to underpromise and overdeliver. Okay. And so if you tell somebody it's going to be 10%, roughly, usually it's 9 to 10%. The caveat, the thing that changes it is how much concessions you end up paying as a seller. Does a buyer come in and ask for 2% in concessions? Do they take it all the way to 3? Because 6% commissions, 3% in concessions, and 1% for title gets you to 10%. So it's usually a pretty good safe bet. If you tell them 10, most of the time it's probably going to be a little bit less than that. But it's kind of a good rule of thumb to have to set expectations. So, and then as you go into the appointment, like I said, then you're ready. You've got the comps, the data, you're ready to rock and roll. You know kind of what they're thinking. You know how much they got to walk away with. You can build out the net sheet. You go in really prepared to have those conversations. Okay. Okay. Any takeaways? Any questions with that? On kind of how I tee up a listing appointment?
Home is worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it. You always see sellers, hey, my house is worth this much. I know I can get this much for it, but they really see the data, like.
Yep.
It's like eye-opening.
Yep. And it's okay to set expectation. Tell them that, hey, my goal today is to really understand and help you understand what a buyer would pay for this home. That's my goal. And I'm going to do that by data. I'm going to do that from walking through your house. I'm going to do that because of my experience in walking through other homes and selling other homes. That's my purpose of today, is to help you understand what that looks like, and then what that ends up equating and netting you in your pocket. Okay. And then they can then make an educated decision. Okay. Any other takeaways that you guys have with this? You guys ready to role play with each other? Okay, so I'd say grab a partner. We got 6 of us here, so we all can role play with one another. I'd take a buy side, sell side, and then I would just run through it. So let's everybody. I think that's what we can do. Kind of run through this, and that's kind of how we'll finish things out. Oh, the other thing I have to show you too is we've got a sheet. Maybe I'll share that with Cameron too. We've got a sheet to take to a listing appointment too that allows you to kind of fill it out, an info sheet. So that's kind of like this buyer sheet. It's really just important to be writing things down, taking lots of notes. That's why if you've got your CRM pulled up and you're on the phone, I'm running down here, I'm taking notes in command, I'm putting their info in, I'm gathering that information and be able to share it with them. Okay. So who's partnering up? You two want to go? Me and Ivan gonna keep role playing. I like this. Now I gotta be the lead. You gotta be the agent.
Okay. Usually take notes in command, like
You can. So as a team, we have a different CRM just because of the size we are. But I do like when I'm calling leads and talking to people, I'll have my CRM pulled up and then I'll just be taking notes and stuff in there
That way
and
it's
writing
not-
stuff down. Yeah, so it's already logged, so I don't have to I'm not double writing it down.
Yeah.
That's just efficiency
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
makes sense. Okay, so okay, three,
You want buyer or seller?
I'll do buyer.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do buyer. Any background on kind of, is it SOI? Is it referral lead? Is it sign call? Like,
Later today, I'm doing my girlfriend's older sister.
okay, cool,
She wants to buy with her fiance.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
So-
Okay, okay. I'll be the fiance.
Okay. Okay, hello?
Hey, who's this?
Hey, this is Ivan.
Hey, Ivan.
Yeah, we were at our girlfriend's house the other day. You know, that's the weekend, you know?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, we were
How are
talking-
you, man?
Good, and you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, we were talking about you guys getting married soon. How's that going?
Dude, it's good. It's good work. We're getting excited.
Okay.
She's really pushing for
Yeah.
getting engaged and getting married
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
How's the wedding plans? Are you guys planning on having a?
Yeah, she wants a really big wedding. My family wants a big wedding, so that's probably, I mean, we'll probably have all you guys and it'll be just a big, it'll be a big party.
Dang, man, sounds fun. I can't wait for it to come. So talk to me. Are you guys planning on buying before getting wedding or after the wedding?
Man, it really depends. I mean, it's been a little stressful planning for this. I think we'd probably be pretty open. I mean, if we could do it before, great. If not, we could do it after.
Okay, and are you guys paying for the whole wedding, or are you getting sides from like either side of the family, or how does that look to you?
Yeah, I mean, we're paying for a lot of it. I think her parents, and my parents are gonna kick in a little bit, but that's kind of what we're navigating too, is just trying to figure out what it's gonna cost us.
Okay.
And if that's gonna keep us from buying a house now, or kind of how that will work.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, have you looked into any area you want to buy, or are you open to anywhere? Or?
And why that?
Okay.
We'd kind of like to be Provo, Orem. That's kind of where we'd like to be.
Okay, stay with the close by to the in-laws.
Yep. Yeah, we'd like to be pretty close. She wants to be pretty close to mom and dad,
I
so
mean, you
that's
know how
pretty,
they are.
I know, it's pretty
Yeah.
important to her.
Yeah, makes sense. So, first things first, the finance part is probably the most important part of buying a house. So, my only concern is wedding, down payment, all that stuff. Like, have you talked with a lender? Have you talked with somebody about that?
No, not yet. We're kind of just putting money away, but I don't know what all that looks like, honestly, so.
And you mentioned you work in concrete, so I'm guessing your schedule's really, tight, so you wanna settle in.
Yeah, it does slow down in the winter, but there's a huge push towards the end of the year to get things done. People are always wanting us to wrap up before it starts snowing and stuff, so it's been pretty
Yeah.
busy.
So, tell me, if you didn't move in, before the wedding, is that, something huge, or are you gonna be?
No, I mean, the place we're at now, I mean, we could stay there. Our lease is up the end of the year. And so I think I've already talked to them. They'd let us do month to month. If we had to sign a 6-month lease, we could. So honestly, it's pretty flexible. It wouldn't be the end of the world.
Sounds good, and, sorry, are you doing the wedding at a venue or at, one of your parents' home?
Right now we're planning, there's this place down in Provo that, she really likes. So we're just trying to figure out if we can afford it.
Okay, 'cause, the main thing is, do you think you're ready to, handle both situations, a new house and a wedding? Or
Potentially, I think it just comes down to,
you said you were saving?
yeah, I don't know how much money we'd need at this point, because we haven't really talked to anybody. I mean, if we could afford it, yeah, I think we'd be open to it.
Yeah, man, you'd be surprised how much how much, how leverage work and how much.
It's the only one
give
that
and
you
how
want to
flexible they are.
learn.
So
Part of me feel like there's gotta be something.
I guess that's your motivation,
So
right?
about
Wedding, to family, to life.
Yeah.
Well, part of it too is I think my parents have rented their whole lives, and I've been listening to podcasts and things and talking to her, and like I think for us really it's more about like I think it's really important for us to have a house, and as we start a family and raise a family, like I think that's probably the thing that we're most excited about.
So that's really important for you then.
Yeah.
And are you looking for, a bigger house than you're already in, or like, do you want?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, ideally, we'd love a single family home, but I know that, starting out, if we have to be in a townhome or condo, if that's kind of how we get started, then I'd be okay with that too.
Okay, and you said your parents rented, would you be open to having them move in with you? Like, is that a possibility, or?
Man, I don't know. I've not really thought about that.
Or is
I've not
it
really
just
thought
like
about that.
Me and my wife. we're good?
No, I mean, I think, I don't know, if it was, the right situation,
'Cause they're-
maybe.
As you know, they're a little older, so we don't know what'll happen in 5, 6
This
years.
is good though.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know if that's been on your mind when you're buying.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but not really. I just don't know how that would work, if the house would be big enough and, kind of, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, well, I have a lot of stuff I can get started on, but the only thing is, with the new settlement, I don't know if you've heard about it, we have to have an agency written out. Have you talked with any other?
What's your guy, what's he been?
No, not really. I mean, you're like almost family, so I mean, not really. We'd love to have work with you, so.
I'm glad you can say that, man. I worked really hard and we've grown a lot over the years, so it's a nice relationship, yeah. So, are you guys rent right now, obviously, so I feel like the only thing we need to get started is the appointment and get you guys to talk with the lender. So,
Cool.
Yeah, what times work for you? I have later tomorrow, 4 p.m. or Monday.
We could do later tonight at 4 p.m. I think that would work.
That works, man. I'll send you a group chat and then we'll get started on that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, what'd you think?
I stuttered a lot. In the beginning too, after kind of get started. But it's not like I have to like look at it. I just have to have like key points. I don't want to be like this,
Yeah.
But
On the phone, the thing is, I think it's really okay. I would encourage just to like really just go down each one and not skip it. Yeah, they're not looking at you, so it really doesn't matter. Our ISAs on the phones, they're literally have it in front of them, and we're just gonna go down every single one. Cause it's the habit of, the more that you get in the habit of it, there's gonna be a time where you're driving, somebody calls like, hey, so-and-so gave me your name, I'm kind of interested in buying a house. And it's like, hey, well, I'm driving, let me just pull over really quick. Or hey, let me call you back or whatever, but at least you can run down, you get in the habit of, well, great, let's talk about this. Tell me about, what does that look like? What's the location? Where would you guys like to be? What's your timeline? When would you like to have this happen?
I usually like writing stuff down and talking. I usually have to call and remember and stuff, but obviously that's risky because I might forget. So
Yeah.
I gotta practice like writing.
Yeah. It's hard. The hardest thing for a lot of people too is just to slow down.
Yeah.
To talk slow, to slow down, and just say, hey, well, man, I'm excited. Tell me about the location. Where do you and so-and-so want to end up? Why? Tell me about that. Why is that important to you?
And I feel like I get excited when I talk. Cause I just like feel stoked that I have like leads and stuff. So I get excited to talk fast. So yeah, I'll be fast.
Yeah. Did everybody go? Did both people go or just one? Okay. How was it? How was it? Okay. Okay. So went smooth. Anything you could change? Yeah.
Well, actually, can we meet first?
Yeah. 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 Yep. Yeah, it's not trouble. That's what I was telling him. We've got like a info sheet that we fill out when I go. I'll usually always have kind of a blank piece of paper or something to write on, and then as I go through this process, I'm just asking and writing stuff down.
I mean, when I started in school, I came to this class as well. Also, like 30 to ask. So we had like all the needs. Nice. What writer? Already here.
Yeah, yeah. I think it just shows how attentive you are and detail oriented you are and just wanting to write things down. I don't think it's a bad thing to take it. So I was telling Ivan too, it's important to get in the habit of just the more that you do this and the more that you're intentional with. Sometimes we just want to skip it or bounce around. I wouldn't do that. I literally would go line by line and just go through it as they're on the paper. Location to timeline to price, the motivation to agency. Like I wouldn't skip around. I would just get in the habit of going down each single one. And you guys don't have to ask these specific questions. You can switch them up. You can figure out what you find natural. I was telling Ivan, one of the problems a lot of people have is you get excited, you get in the business, you're having convos, and you finally have somebody that's interested. And so, man, you're like excited. You're like, all right, man, I'm so excited to help you. Tell me about where you want to be. What's your timeline? When do you want to be that? When? Like instead of, you've got to get in the habit of just slowing down, relaxing, and realizing just slow it way down. It's a lot easier phone call if I'm like, hey, Ivan, man, I'm excited to help you. So-and-so was telling me about this. Tell me where are you looking to buy a house at? Cool, man, that's super exciting. I'll put that down. When do you want to be in the house?
Couple months.
Okay, sweet. I'll make sure we make that happen. How much price of the house, monthly payment?
500K.
Sweet. Well, why do you want to buy a house? Versus, hey, Ivan, your cousin had sent your name over and mentioned you were wanting to buy a house. Let me just ask you, where are you wanting to be at?
Yeah, I want to be in Orem, Provo, around here.
Okay, tell me why Orem and Provo. Why is that important to you?
I go to UVU, so I don't go to UVU. I have kids that go to UVU, so I don't want them to be killed with the housing and stuff. So that's my biggest concern.
Okay, killed with housing. What do you mean by that?
I don't want them to have to move into the dorms and stuff, and I just want them to be at home, and it's a lot more relaxed. I feel like they study better with like that instead of having roommates.
Got it. So just so I understand, so the kind of the reason for that location is you want to have your kids close to their college and be able to live at home while they're going to college. Perfect. Perfect. I think that's neat. You can see the difference in like how that connection, it can make people feel really rushed, kind of overwhelmed, that just how your tonality is coming across. And so it's important with your tonality to come across and just relaxed, calm, curious mindset. I'm really asking these questions not to drill you with 21 questions. It's really because I am curious. I want to help you, but I also want to make sure that there is an opportunity for me to help you. So I need to ask these questions so you can feel how different those two conversations look. So, you guys ready to switch? Any other questions?
One thing I was kind of running into is if you come across as, like, say, it's a buyer who already been talking to like an agent, how do you like kind of, I don't, they tell you they have an agency agreement with someone? Because in my head, I'm like, no, this is fucked, I'm out of here.
Correct. There's not really a path. That's where you've got to get really clear on why it's in there, is to understand, like, if somebody's like, hey, yeah, I actually signed an agreement with Joe Schmo down the street. And some of my follow-up questions would be, well, are you enjoying the experience with working with this agent? Do you like the level of service that he's providing? And so if they're like, man, actually no, because I'm reaching out to you because I'm really pissed and frustrated because I don't feel like they're just not doing what I want and they're not helping us get into this house. Well, I can't coach you or tell you how to get out of the agreement, but I can't help you until you're not under contract with them through that agency agreement that you signed. And so you're going to have if you're wanting me to help you, I would love to help you out in this process, but you're going to have a conversation, a hard conversation with that person. And you're going to have to ask them to kind of cancel the agreement. Is kind of how that works. And like I said, I'd love to help you, but until you have that conversation and that is canceled, I just out of sake of not wanting to step on any toes and things, and the way our industry works is until that happens, I really can't help you with anything. And so,
like, pushing you to a point where, like, yeah, we've got an agent and we're happy with them, we're gonna keep working. And is that the point where you're just like, okay, I'll just take my hands off it?
correct.
Change your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. If you found out motivation and stuff, I'd say, hey, if the agent, you guys don't end up getting into that house, it doesn't work out, and you guys are looking for a change, I'd love for you to give me a call. So.
Offering
Got it. Got it. Cool. No, I think it's a great thing. I also wouldn't shy away from, I wouldn't follow up with that person a ton, but if they're in my database, it's somebody that's a friend of family or somebody that I know. It wouldn't be bad to reach out. Wouldn't be bad to, again, you guys see the percentage. Most agents don't end up picking up the repeat business. So just because some agent's helping on this piece doesn't mean I can't go earn the next one. And so remember that it's not, you're not earning just this one piece of business. You've got to realize that a lead, if you look at a timeline of a lead, if you were to stay in the business for the next 25 years, and on average, people move every 7 to 10 years. Normally in that time period, you're potentially 2 or 3 real estate transactions. If you're double siding them, that could be 3 or 4 or 5 deals in that one lead. If you're handling a business the right way, there could be multiple and should be multiple referrals. So that one lead could turn into 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of business over the next 25 years. If that's the case, average commission check is, let's say it's 13, 14 grand, 10 deals. The value of that one contact is over 6 figures over a career. Okay. So just because somebody's working with somebody now doesn't mean I can't go provide value, follow up with them. And in 3, 4, 5 years, when they go to sell, they end up using me to sell their house and help them buy the next. Also doesn't mean, hey, I would love to help you. I know you're under contract, but, I would love to show you the level of service I provide. Who do you know that's buying and selling? I'd love to follow up with you and just check in and keep you up to date on the market and what's going on and different things and provide value. Okay. So those are things to be mindful of, that just don't just exit out and just be like, well, F it. They're using somebody else. I'm out. Realize that agents suck at following up. That's our industry. They suck at it. So be the agent that's going to kill it. Money's in the follow-up. Great. Doesn't work out, call me. If it doesn't, just know that I'm going to call you and keep you up to date on the real estate market and how I can help you and be of service to you. When you get in that house, super excited. If you need somebody, you're working on a project, know I've got a vendor list that's pages long. I'd love to get you connected with a plumber or electrician or somebody, whatever the project is, know that I've got a contact for it. Okay, so I'm providing value to people. That's really the purpose of it.
You get there, they're happy, he's like, okay, well, maybe follow up in a couple months.
Yeah.
Still looking.
Yeah. Hey, I was thinking of you today, Isaiah. Did you guys end up getting into that house? Whatever happened to that? Yeah, put them in the pipeline, follow up. Hey, I've got this event coming up. I'd love to get you some free tickets to it. Hey, I was noticed that I know you said that you bought that house 6 months ago, Isaiah. Did you realize rates have been coming down? What rate did you guys end up with? 6.5. Man, crazy, because rates right now are about 5.75 with my lender. That's hundreds of dollars on a monthly basis, but it's thousands of dollars when we talk, the interest you're not going to pay. Would it be helpful if I could help you save a couple $100 a month?
Yeah, that'd probably be helpful.
Cool.
So
Cool. What I'll do is, would it be okay if I connected you with my lender? It doesn't cost anything. He can run a consultation with you to see if it would make sense for you guys to refinance and save money. Awesome. So again, I didn't help him buy the house, but I can help him refinance. I can help him tee him up. And then when I help him save a couple $100 and say, man, who else do you know that I could reach out to and save some money? Who else do you know is maybe looking to buy, sell, or has some real estate questions? I just helped them save potentially $300, $400, $500 a month. That's a great opportunity for me to say, hey, who else do you know that I can help in real estate?
So if this transaction, you're setting them up with like a lender to like refi and everything, that's not you getting a commission.
Yeah, correct. You're providing value. So, but the money side of things for me comes in by asking for a referral. If I can go get a referral or add a person in my database, that's money. Eventually money. They may not transact now, but in the future, that's absolutely going to turn into paychecks. So it's about that long-term mindset. Sometimes as agents, we look at I got to have a paycheck now, which is absolutely the case, but don't lose sight of the long-term value of a lead and a client and a referral and how many deals can that can turn into. So, okay, it's 11:30. So my time's up. So we kind of cover buyer seller consultation and staying motivated. What's your guys' top takeaways today? Was this helpful? You guys learn stuff. Got it. I would practice this. I would grab a partner, role play with each other. I think it's helpful to run through these different scenarios. And like I said, use this. qualifying buyers and sellers, this is the best, easiest process, greatest roadmap to go down every single time when you're having a conversation with somebody. Okay, so have it in front of you. Get really good at it. Anything else you guys need? Okay, I didn't put it on the slide. I'll give you my name, phone number, and email. If you guys need anything, like always, you can call me, you can text me, you can email me. If I can help with anything at all. Three 695-8382. Okay, save my number. If you need me, call me. Should we tee up that song?